Hi everyone, welcome to One Six Figure Focus, and in this video we're going to take a look at the Mark V reissue. Okay, so obviously this isn't Loki. No one knows where Loki is. He's been released in a different universe, a different multiverse. Maybe he will be released in ours at some stage. This caused a lot of controversy. So the Mark V, let's just talk about the Mark V and appreciate how gorgeous the Mark V is first of all. So the Mark V, first seen in Iron Man 2, or the suitcase suit. It's a very unique design. You've got that red and silver. It's no gold at all. It's a very lean, stripped down. It's probably the leanest looking Iron Man. I think it's actually looks leaner than the Nanotex, which is a bit unusual. But it's a stripped down, red and silver look. It looks fantastic. It looks lean. It comes from the suitcase. It's actually my favorite suit up, and it's from a great scene in that Formula 1 track. Great suit up, great scene. The figure is great. They had a die-cast version. I think they actually had a plastic version. They definitely had a die-cast version. And then earlier on this year, they released a reissue. Now, again, reissue is when they literally reissue or re-release the exact same figure, make no changes. And they didn't. It literally said reissue. So on the box it said reissue, like the Mark 1 War Machine. Straight reissue. 2.0 is when they change something. Maybe they change the sculpt, maybe they change the accessory, maybe they throw in a new base. I think the base is kind of a little bit of a sneaky one, because if it's the same figure and different base, it's like, is it? I would consider that a reissue, really, just throwing in an accessory base. But anyway, this one here is unusual. So they've already made the die-cast. They then announced the die-cast reissue. They even printed reissue on it, and it was released this year. I think it was like Q2 of this year or something like that. Q2 or Q3. And then suddenly in September then they announced this again. It is the exact same figure, but they've thrown in this base, which, like, some of these bases I like and some of them I just don't. Look, I don't typically use bases, but some of the deluxe bases I make exceptions for. Like, I do have that obviously the Robocop, the chair. It's not really a base, it's more of a throne. And I do have the Mark 6 the Mark 6 with the steps and a kind of a smaller version of his suit up from Avengers film. So for certain bases I will make the exception, and I'm sure I'll make the exception for that. The Hot Toys, the Batman, the modular base with the kind of the light upstairs, and then the gargoyle in the back, or the quarter scale, the Dark Knight coming with that fantastic gargoyle base, or the base that's coming with the battle damaged upgraded suit Spider-Man. I think that's fantastic. So it's just bizarre. They had the original Mark V, I think it was plastic. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below, I'm not sure about that, but I think they did a plastic version. Then they did a die-cast version. Then last year they announced a reissue. They printed reissue on the box, and that was released this year. And then now the same thing again. They did say that this was I think this was a Shanghai exclusive or something like that. I think this is going to show up on Sideshow. Now, my reasoning for that is, if you remember over the summer, there were these Shanghai exclusives announced, right? I'm not sure if this Mark V was actually a Shanghai exclusive or what was it, but there were these Shanghai exclusives announced because Hot Toy have a brand new store in Shanghai. Those three that were dropped on the same day were the Chrome Stormtrooper, now, not the Chrome Death Trooper or Chrome Clone Trooper from Star Wars Celebration. This was the Chrome Stormtrooper, all right? Then you had the Mark 46 2.0 and the Stealth Suit 2.0 from Endgame. So they were announced on the same day. Now we're going to look over here. They said exclusive, Shanghai exclusive on them. But here we have, in Sideshow, add to cart, the Stormtrooper Chrome version. Beautiful looking piece. I'm a Trooper collector. I'm not collecting it because I don't, as much as these look cool on the shelf, for me, it's screen accuracy I'm going for. And this looks, looks beautiful, but at the same time, I can't go down this rabbit hole. It's a bit gimmicky. But it's there. You can add to cart on Sideshow. But it was a Shanghai exclusive, apparently. Exclusive doesn't mean anything. Here again, the Mark 46 2.0 that people were crying out for reissue. Doesn't come with a head sculpt, but was a Shanghai exclusive, but yet add to cart on Sideshow. So they're there. The cap was a bit different because the Stealth Suit cap 2.0 that was branded Endgame, there was a bit of controversy over it at the weekend. Just it went up for pre-order, but there was like an email sent out going, the first 300 will get a special bonus thing, right? And people thought, oh, it's a bonus accessory. It wasn't. It was like a gift card or something like that. And then they said that originally, I think Sideshow said something along the lines of like, it's the first 300 will get this special bonus code for 20% off or 25% off or $20 off or whatever it was. And then they dialed back and said, no, there's only 300. So then a lot of people like missed out, whatever, because, you know, it's exclusive, it's timed or whatever. There was limited to 300 apparently. So now they're saying there's only 300, and if you missed out, you missed out. I don't know if that's actually necessarily true, because why would they do that for the stealth suit cap from Endgame and not for these other two, this Stormtrooper Chrome version, which was a Shanghai exclusive and announced on the same day as the Mark 46 2.0 and the stealth suit cap. So this one's available in Sideshow, this one's available in Sideshow, and then the stealth suit cap is the one that kind of caused controversy. They're saying it's only limited to 300. I don't think that'll necessarily be true. I reckon I don't know. It's gone to the wait list. A lot of people are on the wait list. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of those wait lists started to convert. That's what I'm saying. I just think it's unusual. But back to this one here. So based on the fact that you can get the Stormtrooper Chrome version, which was a Shanghai exclusive apparently, you can get that on Sideshow, and you can get the Mark 46 2.0 on Sideshow. It wouldn't surprise me if this shows up on Sideshow anyway. But it would be a bit pointless considering you can go in and for $360 get the reissue of this, which is the same thing as far as I know, just without the base. So do you really need that base? Shout out to Ben Thomas. I was watching Collecting Weekly, or listening back to Collecting Weekly today on the Rewind when I was in the gym. And he said himself and his fiance have been watching Is It Cake a lot. I think the gist of the show is they have these bakers and they make these amazing cakes, and some of them are really convincing, and you have to kind of guess if the thing is actually a real object or is a cake. And he reckoned this looks like cake. Like this could have been just a diorama, someone's birthday cake, whatever. I thought that was quite funny. So for this, I don't have a price for this. I do know that the reissue that's on Sideshow and available is $360. But I don't have a price for this now. I think it's probably around $400. But I just think it's a very strange move. Wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. I have no insider information. It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of the stealth suit cap Shanghai exclusives start converting from waitlist and suddenly more of them are available on Sideshow. And it wouldn't surprise me if this thing pops up on Sideshow as well. Now, the thing about this is there's like 130 or 140 Hot Toys pre-orders. And now Sideshow tend to get things quicker. It doesn't affect me because I don't buy from them. I buy from other sources. I buy a lot from Lion Rock Toys and a lot from Tim Cent or Tim Cent, Toys Buying Agent. And from time to time, I dance with the devil in the workshop, right? But Lion Rock Toys I would recommend though, and Toys Buying Agent I would absolutely recommend. I wouldn't recommend the Devil's Workshop, but I definitely, from time to time when they drop down those prices, and even with their city shipping costs, the odd time I would go with them as well. But yeah, because I've had a few bad experiences with, no, actually I've had one bad experience with them and the figure right in the end. So, but that's me. So I wouldn't recommend them, but I still buy from them time to time because the price is cheap. But I would recommend Lion Rock Toys and Toys Buying Agent. Now for this here, just looking at it, there's nothing wrong with the figure. There's nothing wrong with the suit. There's nothing wrong with the suit up. Sideshow, like one of the biggest complaints I think from a lot of people were that Sideshow, some would get released in Hong Kong and then Sideshow wouldn't have it for 3 to 6 months after, right? So just off the top of my head, Endgame Cap, just one example of many. But now they seem to be getting things really quick. So they've got their ducks in a row and they're getting things really, really quick. The thing about this here is, if you look at the suit up version of this that they announced, which was announced, I think it was last year, this thing here on screen now was only announced September and now it's out. It's almost like they just had like a few hundred or thousand of these lying around. They're like, okay, we need to add something to this to make them sell more because they're not selling. Maybe the demand for the reissue for the Mark V wasn't as high as they anticipated. Because maybe a lot of people were crying out for it, but then they kind of got over it, and by the time this was reissued, no one was buying it, so they had a bunch of these lying around and said, you know what, we'll put a base in there, we'll say it's slap exclusive on the box, and then a lot of people would buy it. Maybe that's the case. But for this, what's a bit strange is the fact that you're still waiting on Loki, this is, so the thumbnail now should make sense. I'm coming full circle to why I put that tongue-in-cheek thumbnails. Look, if you're new to the channel, I do a lot of tongue-in-cheek thumbnails because I have a sense of humor. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But when we have figures like Loki that have seemed to have just disappeared, right? And like, when Endgame is, what was Endgame? When was Endgame? 2019 or something like that? Loki, that must have been over 2 years. It's probably longer than the Pennywise wait now. When you have figures like Loki that have been announced literally years ago and aren't arriving, or you have the suited version of this, which was announced last year and still not arriving, and this was basically announced in September, and now it's here in October. I think this is September the 8th or something like that, started of September, and now it's here. Sideshow and Hot Toys, they've definitely I don't think they've increased their pace that much. I think these were just lying around, they tacked a base onto it. But if you think about how frustrating it is, for the people that do buy from Sideshow, now things are getting there quicker, that's fine. It's like if you go to, but some things are skipping the queue, that's my point. Like, why, if someone's sitting there waiting for Loki, going, really? This Loki was announced 2 years ago. The suited version, this was announced 2 years ago. Other figures that you're waiting for that could have been announced 2 years ago and were delayed. Take your pick, Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, whatever. And now suddenly this one skips the queue. Like, that's like you go to a post office, and let's say you go to the post office, there's a queue of 50 people, and every time you go to the post office there's 50 people in the queue. So you make a complaint and you say, look, I'm waiting too long. So they've opened up another line. Next time you go, then there's only 25 people in the queue, or maybe they open up a few lines and there's only 10 people in the queue, and that's fine, that's great. What happens then if you go, and even though that there's 2 queues, and now that there's only 25 in each queue and you don't have to queue as long, some people are allowed to skip the queue. This is kind of like what this is. So some figures just skip the queue there. Yeah, sorry, it's not really a rant. It doesn't really affect me anyway, because I'm not going to get it. I do love the Mark V, it looks fantastic, but look, again, you can't have everything. The Iron Men that I have in my collection are there for a reason. The Mark 6, because it's my favourite. The Mark 3 quarter scale, because I want a quarter scale Marvel figure, and the Mark 3 is super. I'm going to get the Mark 3 1/6 scale, because I just, look, it's the one that started it all. The Mark 47 pairs beautifully next to the Homecoming Spider-Man, and the Mark 85 Battle Damage, because I am Iron Man. I don't need another Iron Man, but it's very tempting. It looks fantastic. But yeah, I thought it was a very, very strange move. Anyway, in conclusion, this looks fantastic, but so did the reissue, and so did the original one. The base, personally, not enough to sway me at all. I don't think the head sculpt on this is their best version of Robert Downey Jr., to be quite honest. Far from it. I do think the Battle Damage Mark 85 is far superior. The Mark 47 there looks a lot better than this. I actually think the Mark 47 head sculpt is nearly better than the Battle Damage Mark 85, to be quite honest. But different times in Tony and Robert Downey Jr.'s life. Yeah, so in conclusion, it's not for me. Strange move with the old, the fact that it was announced in September. I don't think the base is definitely not enough to sway me, but maybe it's enough to sway you. Maybe you really want this version and you're going to get a Mark V anyway, and then you see this and you're like, now you can get the Mark V with this base if you like it. That's it. If you want to support the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Let me know if you're picking this one up or not. Let me know what you think of this strange move by Hot Toys. You can also follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. That's it. That's the end of the video. See you in the next one. Good luck.